Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hello and welcome to Insight Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. I'm your host, Lynn Newman. This morning we're going to talk about educational cooperation between Canada and Indonesia. We have with us two people, one Canadian and one Indonesian, funnily enough, which makes it work better.
I'm the Canadian, by the way.
Yes, and we're going to have a contest. Guess who's the Canadian on the show? Dr. Wesley Koczka is the CEO of TRU World Global Operations, which is part of Thomson Rivers University in the town of Kamloops, which I never heard of before this morning, in British Columbia, but a very interesting university that does a lot of international outreach. And Indah Emil, who you can guess is our Indonesian guest, is the Vice President of the International Islamic Education Council here in Jakarta. Why don't we start by staying local just for a moment? Okay. Indah, tell us what is the International Islamic Education Council?
So in short, it's IIEC. Well, it's really well known as IIEC. It's a short of International Islamic Education Council, which has the right of ownership of several international Islamic schools spread in Indonesia. And it aimed to reform or kind of rebuild education into, to have that kind of international experience and to bring out Indonesian students and educators to, to have that cross-cultural experience abroad.
Now, for a lot of expats anyway, and maybe even others, think of Islamic education as pesantren.
Yes.
Or Permata, one of the big universities. What is the nature of Islamic education that you're trying to?
Yeah, because it's basically International Islamic Education Council is based on Islamic philosophy, and of course it's Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. And as we know that Islam is supposed to be the rahmatan lil alamin, it's the blessing of the universe. So, and the high achievement of being a Muslim, it should be being the Khalifa, which means the leader. And being the leader of the world, then you have to know the world. So, and it's not pesantren because, as you know, pesantren used to be located in a very kind of isolated area and far from the reach of the city. Now we want to kind of build a school that is in the city with that, to kind of birth the nuance of Islam in the middle of the city, and to have the city student, to feel that kind of Islam, to feel that kind of Islamic events.
And then before we run it, it's amazing how quickly this goes, but tell us about Thomson Rivers University and what your relationship is to the kind of thing that Indah's doing.
Yeah, I mean, Thomson Rivers, I'm the Associate Vice President of International, so all things international in our university run through TRU World. One of the things, of course, we're interested in collaborating with Indah is bringing some of the students to our university, just as her institutional mindset is to widen the viewpoint of her students. Ours is the complementary of that in Canada. We have to widen the mindset of our Canadian university students with students from Indonesia and elsewhere. So for the past 2 years, we've been collaborating with Indah. And so we are a public university. We have 10,000 students on campus. We have another 14,000, 15,000 students studying with us electronically. And our university has a mandate to provide its education not only to Canadian citizens, but to citizens also of collaborating nations. And so we were very fortunate to run into Indah and her similar-minded philosophy, and so we're coming together.
Well, it sounds like a really interesting union of two two different cultures, so the Indonesian and Canadian.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk more about exactly how this partnership will work when we come back. You're watching Insight Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. Stay with us. Welcome back to Insight Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. Today we're talking about Canadian-Indonesian educational cooperation, specifically how Thomson Rivers University and the International Islamic Education Council have come together to promote better education, to get cross-cultural communication going, etc. Tell us how this, Wes, let's go to you. Tell us how this program is working.
Well, this program started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Indah brought, I believe it was 103 students?
135 students for the first year.
For the first year. And essentially that program was, can we, our university, Thomson Rivers University, provide a program for, it was a short-term program, I think 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
So essentially what we wanted to do was provide a Canadian cultural learning experience. It's not just education, but as a cultural element, which is very important. So one of the requirements that Indah suggested is that we want homestay. And the purpose, that's a very insightful requirement. That homestay requirement requires those students, meaning Indah students, to live with a Canadian family. They get a chance to sit, they get a chance to eat, they get a chance to play, and they get a chance to interact with them on a daily basis. So that was
So it started with an exchange. These were high school students.
Yes, our high school and secondary school.
Who went and spent some time in Canada.
Yeah.
And out of that, what's developing now? What's the next step for the partnership?
Well, the next step, of course, we're going to bring more students this year. We are planning for about 200 to 300 students to go to Canada and to have that cross-cultural. The thing that we have done this year with our students is that we joined the parade as well to celebrate the Canadian Day, Canada Day, and as well to celebrate the 60th year bilateral relationship Canada and Indonesia. And so that's going to develop a lot, and especially for our graduating student, it's easier for them to get an access to know the kind of university that available in Canada, and TRU are one of the best university in Canada.
Now, for TRU, what's the end game here? Do you guys hope to have a permanent presence in Indonesia eventually?
Yeah, what we would. I mean, that is in fact the end game. We have a deep and rich history of collaborating internationally. We've run a program in China with 2 international partners for the past 10 years. What we want to do is diversify our cultural experience for our students. So China is one location. We'd love to collaborate with Indah in Indonesia.
Indonesia is certainly booming. It's a very dynamic country. A lot of things happening here. For an institution in Canada, what does coming into Asia represent? Is this a market opportunity? Is this a need to reach out to these suddenly rich kids over here, get them into your schools?
It's not. It shouldn't be driven by just the dollar. It should be driven by the more important thing is the cultural awareness, to transition and transform those students from a mindset that is local to a global mindset is much more profound than any type of cash that is generated, because those individuals are going to be the future leaders of our country. We want to establish collaboration, mutual respect and understanding for both of those cultures. One of the things that we loved about Indah's group when they came was they provided an event, and it was a musical event and a cultural event in our community. We had it on campus the first year. We had students, community, administrators participate. This year, the group was too large and the interest was too large, and we had to go off campus and we had to rent a theater for our citizens to see that. That type of cultural understanding, the awareness, and the acceptance of the transfer of knowledge is much more
Mm-hmm.
profound in any type of remuneration that is going to
I
generate.
was just being a little bit.
Yeah. And not to forget that it will have a significant impact for the
Absolutely.
future, because it will bring the harmonious interconnectedness between the two countries.
Well, one of the things that strikes me, and I've talked about it on the show a number of times, and we've written about it in the Jakarta Globe, is there's such an explosion of interest in Indonesia and the outside world.
Yeah.
Kids, students are just yearning to go abroad or to have experience with people from abroad. As Indonesia comes out of its shell in the last 10 years or so, I think this is a big part of what's happening with education.
Yes, true. And then, the part of something, our culture is like diamond of our existence. So why not to show it to show the world, right? And then this is what we bring to Canada as a symbol, that the kind of symbol that we offer a hand for friendship, and it's kind of gift for Canadian people, and it's not a small event, it's a really huge event that the student have to prepare like 6 months before that, and it was a very exciting experience for the student as well, to kind of reform the love to their country, to their culture, and to be able to to really feel it. Because if you don't have that opportunity for them to feel their culture, to perform their culture, they would never be able to really love their country.
And so the eventual idea would be that there may one day be a university here.
Oh yeah,
co-branded. That's the
Exactly. I mean, our university is very interested in that, and so, in fact, that's one of the purposes of the trip.
Right.
We're going to explore the programmatic collaboration with Indah and in Indonesia, in Jakarta specifically.
We're just about out of time for this segment. We come back, I want to talk a little bit about how foreign universities and local institutions can work together, and what the dynamics of that are generally. You're watching Insight Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. Stay with us. Welcome back to Inside Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. Today we're talking with Indah Emil from the International Islamic Education Council, and Dr. Wes Koczka from Thomson Rivers University in Canada. You guys are in the early stages of a kind of an institutional hookup.
Collaboration.
So that the kids from both sides can get degrees through Thomson Rivers and IIEC. How is that going to work? What's the vision for how that will work?
Yeah, this is the program that we are planning to do for within 1 or 2 years. What we call 2+2 program. Is it a kind of an associated degree where the student can accomplish their bachelor degree, like let's say 4 years, and only that 2 years in our institution that we're planning, International Islamic College, community college, so it will call IICC, and then it will collaborate with Thomson River University, and then 2 years gonna be in Indonesia, and then the next 2 years gonna be in Thomson River University, and they will have a dual degree. So.
And there's a sense in which, Wes, that this is also available. Also, part of this could be done online eventually.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, our university, in addition to providing programs face-to-face, we have a comprehensive electronic learning platform. We have 14,000 students studying with us through our open learning program institution. Essentially, students from all around the world can take their learning in a time that is convenient to those individuals. So we also want to create a blended learning platform, we call it, so that they can study face-to-face, or if they choose to, they can study electronically as well. So in Canada, to issue a degree, at least half of our university degree must be offered. So that is a requirement of our state. And so we will work with Indah to ensure that we comply with that, and then the regulations in Indonesia would enable them to create to secure a degree from Canada and a degree from Indonesia. So that's the goal.
And is it complicated to harmonize the degree requirements that exist in Indonesia and the guidelines you have to follow in terms of curriculum? Is it complicated to harmonize that with, say, what TRU offers?
I think it is. It is pretty much complicated, and that's why with the collaboration, we did a lot of communication. We did a lot of, let's say, synchronizing the standards and everything. And so far, that we're still working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a whole team of individuals who would map that, and they're called transnational educational managers.
No kidding.
To do that,
just to figure out the regulations.
Exactly. And
of course, you've managed to do China. So
well, yeah, it took us a few years to do that
right,
too.
Yeah.
Right.
But to map the course requirements to ensure that there is comparability in the credential, and one of the most demanding things that our universities look for is quality control. We want to make sure that those students who are graduating from Indonesia have the same learning experience as if they would in Canada. So that's the rigor that's involved in the assessment procedure.
I believe it's really hard as well for Dr. West to kind of find that similar standard.
That's why we have
that's why we work together.
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting because education is a very emotional issue. It's a nationalist issue many times.
Yes.
And in the Western universities, there is this quality control concern, which is a slightly different thing. So if you can bring these two things together, I wish you the best of luck.
Well, we'll appreciate your good luck.
Are you getting cooperation from your Ministry of Education back home?
Yeah, we do. I mean, in Canada, education is a provincial mandate, so you have to have the support of the provincial authorities. In our province, our Premier, Christy Clark, has made an announcement that her support for international education is unequivocal, and she wants to expand the international program in British Columbia by moving from our current 94,000 students to another 50% in 4 years.
Really?
So that's
a goal of nearly 150,000 international students
in 4 years.
And IIEC hopes to be obviously part of this.
Yeah.
So do we.
Yeah. Of course.
So what's the next step? Are we going to get an announcement soon? Or,
Yeah, this
watch
program,
for us on the website.
Yeah, exactly. But we're sending students every year.
Right.
So every student that joined the International Islamic High School, International Islamic Secondary School, it's mandatory. It is part of our one of our 5 pillars is overseas program. So it's mandatory for all of our students to go abroad. Either
really?
it's going to be in Middle East, in the West, in the South, in the North of the globe. This is our goal, to send our students to expand their horizon and so forth. So, and yes, we've been doing this business with Dr. West for 2 years, but actually IEC have sent students to all over the world about 1 decade now. It's almost a decade. So. So that's what we are doing now. We are entering Canada, and we choose TRU as our partner.
We're just about out of time. I do want to remind people to look at the website. Yeah. That's trueworld.ca and IIEC-edu.com. I think we've had it up on the screen, but people can get more information. People can get more information at both of those websites and find out more about both of your institutions.
And thank you for having us.
Well, thanks for being here, and very interesting. I wish you both the best of luck. This is a really interesting and important kind of work that you're doing.
Have us back in 2 years, and we'll tell you how we made out.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you can have a broadcast school, and I'll go teach.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been watching Inside Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. I want to remind you that the show is available for live streaming on beritasatu.com and beritasatu.tv, and we put the shows up online on thejakartaglobe.com. Thanks for watching.